Hey folks, Arnold here with OEV. I'm standing in front of a beautiful high country. I'm actually down at the big thing. It's 2026. We're in beautiful Montana down in Three Forks. You couldn't ask for a nicer venue. If you weren't able to make it to this show, I hope you can make it next year because this place is amazing. So, enough about that. Our purpose today is we're going to talk about this high country. We're going to go around the outside of it. We're also going to go around the inside of it. I'm just going to be pointing out various things. And that'll basically be it. So let's go check out the exterior. Okay, so this is an unusual high country. The customer came to us. He had this truck built by Adrenaline Industries. As a result, I mean, as you can see, he's on 43s. So with the 43, we have to actually increase the height underneath the bed to the flatbed itself. And also he's got the roof rack. So that roof rack and the spare tire created a spacing issue. So what we did, we created the 6-inch spacer. It's got doors on this side. The next version of it will also have doors on the other side. And this is coming from the feedback of this owner actually. But he's gonna do a separate video on this. He's gonna take all of the things that he's got stored in here and he's gonna place them all on the ground. And I think you're gonna be blown away. I think I'll be blown away as well because 6 inches high, 8 feet by just under 7 feet, that's a lot of volume. So be sure to watch out for that video. As you can see, this is a pop-up high country. So we've got these versions. You can do it hard side, you can do a pop-up, you can do it removable, you can do it integrated. As you can see, the nice thing about a pop-up is your awning location. So we always try to keep the awnings as low as possible that we can manage. So always trying to stay at the top of the door. But when you're on a hard side, you don't want to be at the top of the door because you'd be at the top of the roof line. With that one, we just go forward of the door. And then with all these new awnings, I mean, this is Truma, shout out to Truma. They built a beautiful awning. This is a 180 forward, 270 to the rear. I think they call it a 270X, but don't quote me on that. But they've got 180s, 180s. They've got a straight pull with a 180 forward. They've got all sorts of things. Check out their website. We briefly touched on this. I'll come back to it here and talk about spare tire storage. So this is, this one here is on 43s. On the single wheel conversions, folks can do the 43s. More commonly is the 41s, but it doesn't matter. They're heavy as hell. Like they're hard to manage. They're cumbersome. Like this tray, we've also got, on our Aluma tray, we've got provisions for a spare tire carrier right up here between the cab of the truck and the front of the camper when you're dealing with those. If you're dealing with, say you're staying with a dually package, this is a commercial chassis, 60-inch cab to axle. So if you're staying with a commercial chassis, or pardon me, if you're staying with a dual rear wheel setup, that spare tire is much lighter. So we take that around the back side. This being a removable camper, the spare tire carrier is going to be right up here on the vertical wall, not on the kick out, but on the vertical wall. That spare tire carrier has a jib at the top, so you can actually use it as a pulley to pull your spare back into position, get it locked up for transport. But that can, again, I got to reiterate, it is, and stress is only the factory tire on a dual rear wheel setup can go on the back of this high country. As soon as you do this single wheel conversion, that's where you're going. Because these tires, that's all you can get for these trucks right now are the military tires. And they're big and they're heavy. It's gonna take a walk around the backside. Hey, there's some really cool features around the back here I want to show you. So this is the removable high country. So you got 8 feet of surface area making contact with the flatbed. To make up that 9.5 feet of total length, we've got the kick-out, very similar to the Hudson Bay, right? If you got a 6.75 foot bed replacement of the Hudson Bay, it's the same identical thing. Go onto our website, you'll start looking around, you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyways, here we are, it's got the kick-out. So this customer again requested, he really wanted a lift. So I'm not gonna call this a bike rack, even though it's set up as a bike rack, but it's a lift. We got electric actuators here. This is the prototype. So when you pull a couple of pins, one here and one there, push a button, down it comes. It comes down to about here. It's a very manageable level. And a lot of these bike racks nowadays, they come with a ramp. So if you got a heavier electric bike, you can actually take it up carefully, but you can do it, right? And it's not gonna fly off. You can do that. You can put a bike rack up here if you're a skier in the wintertime. You can put a ski box up there. You might even be able to mount a box underneath it. I don't know. You could probably you gotta get creative, right? You just gotta stay within the weight limitations of the lift itself, and Bob's your uncle. So this is the prototype. We haven't designated a weight totally. We're thinking around 150 pounds, but we'll see. We're working with the same actuator manufacturer that do our roof lifts, and they're designing a shorter actuator for us. But it's not just the actuator. The actuator is gonna be able to lift much more than what this thing's gonna be rated for. So it's just this. But again, the way that we do everything, we tend to over-engineer everything that we do. So it's tied into this horizontal 45 kick-out extrusion, and it's also riveted into the bottom as well. It's not bonded to the panel here, not bonded there at all. It's just into the aluminum extrusion, and it's pretty damn strong. So like anything, I mean, this got some other accessories on it. It's got the split Mollie on this on either side, and that's only because of the bike lift. So if you didn't have the bike lift, or I shouldn't call it a bike lift, if you didn't have the lift, you could option one full Mollie across the back. This one's also got the ladder. Now, this ladder would work normally without the lift, but this lift was kind of an afterthought as we were building the camper. Unfortunately, this ladder was already on there, so we thought we'd try and build something around it to see if we get the functionality of both. And you can't. So going forward, if you do the lift, when it becomes available, you won't be able to option the ladder unless we redesign the ladder, which crazier things have happened, so we'll probably do that. So that's about all. Upper Mollies, pretty common on these things. I want to talk really briefly on the construction of these campers. So you'll notice rivets, and I'm always saying, well, we don't rivet. We try not to point load. But wherever you see rivets is where we've got metal to metal, right? So the exoskeleton that goes all the way around, where a wall meets a wall, this wall meets this kick-out wall, items like that, where a wall meets a wall, we'll have an exoskeleton. That is actually bonded to the camper. And it's actually part of the structural integrity of the camper, because it's not just a cosmetic thing to hide the joints. For every lineal inch that you move with the exoskeleton's 3 inch by 3 inch, 6063 grade aluminum, powder coated of course. But for every lineal inch you move, you actually got 9 square inches of bonded surface. And to put that into context in terms of what that can handle in terms of weight in destructive testing that we've done, and we do, all our testing is done to failure, because we want to know what the failure point is. But it's just under 4,200 pounds of force required for every lineal inch that you move along that joint. So that's pretty damn strong. You start doing the math on that, and it takes quite a bit of force to break that bond. And when it does break, it's much like a weld. A metal weld will never fail at the weld itself. It'll always fail beside the weld. And same thing with this. So what ends up happening is, because the foam that we've gone through trials testing on the foam that we use as the core. Yes, it's a PET foam, but it's a specific density, it's closed cell, and a few other things. So the nice thing about it is that you can rely on it structurally as part of the construction. When you test a failure and you break that, what ends up happening is it V-notches the foam panel. It'll actually remove 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of foam in a V-notch pattern. With certain foams, and there's a lot of foams out there, with certain foams, if you take a clean piece of foam and you take your finger and you just drag it along the foam, don't push down, just the weight of your finger coming across it. If you lift your finger and there's a residue on the pad of your finger, then that is the first couple cellular layers of that foam breaking down, just with the weight of your finger on there. So what does that translate to? If you have a foam that's doing that, you cannot rely on it to bond or use it as a structural purpose or a part. So, because what happens is once you start getting forces, what ends up happening is those first couple cellular layers, they pop, they're off. That's no longer part of the equation. You get all sorts of failure modes that way. So test, that's what we do. Everything is done to failure, and we sleep a lot better at night knowing that. So that's about it. Getting back to where I was, metal to metal rivets. That's where you'll see that. And quite honestly, in some cases like corner caps and things like that, we don't even need to rivet, but we do anyways because we tend to over-engineer when the opportunity presents itself. They're still buttered. We refer to it as buttering on the backside. In other words, it's got adhesive on the backside as well. So just that adhesive bond is going to be more than enough. That's about it for the backside. We'll jump onto the driver's side here and we'll talk about actuators. Okay, over on the driver's side of this High Country, it is high, isn't it? Thanks to the 43s, thanks to everything, it's just damn high. Let's talk about this side. You're gonna have some storage at the back. Now, once you do a removable High Country, the storage that you're gonna have at the back is gonna be less than what you would have if you did an integrated High Country. The integrated High Country comes down straight at the back and back in on the underside. That is we refer to as the flat back or square back. So with that square back, this door here, of course, moves back, and I can actually crawl. It's a pass-through. I can crawl right through. It's not pretty, but I can do it. So just a little bit of a belly crawl, but nonetheless, there's a ton of space in there. You still have some space here with the kick out, but again, you're not gonna have as much as you would if this was integrated. These campers, they have a gray water tank integrated inside, as well as the fresh water tank. So that's, once you get into our Hudson Bays, it does not have a gray tank on the interior. Because this has a little bit longer floor plan, we're able to do that. Shore power, fresh water fill. You can see this one's got the Truma combi in it. So there's your intake and exhaust there. You got propane storage here because this is removable, and the Truma product that we've got here, even though this is offered in a diesel, we use propane. We don't like to use a diesel connection on removable campers simply because we don't want any air bubbles introduced, because once you get an air bubble in there, you're going to call us and say, hey, my heater won't fire. And I'll say, well, how many times have you tried to start it up? And you'll say 10 times. And I'll say, well, try another 300, right? You got to chase that air bubble out. So we don't do it. We'll just stick with the gas. Once you do integrated, you can go to hydronic heating where you're using the fuel that the chassis has, whether it be diesel, whether it be gas. So that works for that. Of course, you got scene lighting all the way around on these things. You got your outside shower connection here, portable solar connection, and some more power connectivity on the 12 volt side of things. This tray that you're looking at isn't ours. This was made by Adrenaline Industries for the customer. We build a specific tray, an aluminum tray, fully isolated from the chassis, with a High Country removable. Gone are the Derringers with our tray. These are no longer here. You've actually got, recessed into the tray rather, is you've got receivers. They're tapered on all sides. So what that helps you do, it'll help self-locate when you're actually loading the camper. And in each one of those points, every corner, 4 corners, you're gonna have, that's where it's gonna mount through the tray, but it's fully isolated as well. So you'll open the box underneath it, you'll open there'll be a cover plate, remove that to access the bolt so you can undo it and remove the camper on our aluminum tray. Our aluminum trays are not 8 feet wide like this one is. Ours are 7 feet. The actuators. These actuators are rated to lift 1,000 pounds a piece. They're made by Linac. So they are rated for 1,000 pounds each. Proved to be pretty damn reliable. On occasion, it's a mechanical device, so on occasion they will fail. But on the bottom side, there's a little sticker here. It's got a little finger, points to it. Inside there's an Allen fastener. So you can actually, if you're lucky enough to have a drill with you, you can use that, or you just use a ratchet or something like that. But you're able to cycle the actuator if you're in a pinch and it's failed on you. Last thing I think I'll talk about on the exterior of this thing, it's a flat roof, it's got a rub rail. That rub rail is not just a rub rail, it's also where we tie in the solar panels as well. So it's your outer solar panel mount, and then of course there's an inner solar panel mount. The inner solar panel mount is taller than the outside, and what that helps in the winter months, it helps shed that snow off, so your solar's not blocked. On the High Country, you can get up to 4 220 watt solar panels, and these are spaced off the roof as well. We do not recommend through testing to failure. We tested the stick-on solar panels. As nice and attractive as those are, they just attract too much heat, way too much heat. And when you're dealing with composites, those don't mix, right? So because we're talking excessive temperature, right? not just talking that you're sitting in Death Valley or something like that. So it's something you got to consider as well. Of course, you can get the 10-speed max air fans. You can do 1, 2. Gone now. This one has, as far as AC goes, we're actually have been testing a rear wall AC that's made by Zero Breeze, and it's looking pretty favorable. In fact, our Hudson Bays coming out right away will have the rear wall AC on them. That's a 5,300 BTU unit. You can go to their website. I'm not sure if they've got it up yet at this point. We're mid-July 2026, so by the time you see this video, maybe it's up, maybe it's not, I'm not sure. But they were just starting to release the information on it. But you can reach out to us. We can send you a data sheet on it. But it's a pretty neat unit in that all the business is on the exterior of the camper wall. So on the inside, all you're going to see is two vents, one on the inlet, one on the discharge back into the cabin. So super, super nice. Another nice thing about it is it's only 5,300 BTU. And why that's important is because we build very small volumetric packages, right? And when you get up into the larger BTU units, what you'll find is they're just turning on or off. Now I got to correct myself because it depends on where you're at, right? Sometimes you get into some very hot areas, and what you'll find is these AC units might just come on and then a short period later they'll turn off. So if you're in a high humidity area, you're not removing that moisture out of the air. And that's really what's a big part of making you uncomfortable. So it's nicer to have that lower BTU. It's actually going to stay on a lot longer. And the neat thing about the Zero Breeze is it's a 48 volt system. So we're going to go from, they build a 12 volt to 48 volt transformer. So we'll incorporate that on here. So we don't have to do anything super elaborate on the power side of things to accommodate the AC unit. So that's about it for that. The other thing people ask us about all the time are our soft walls. What are they made of? Well, soft walls are made of 4 different layers. On the exterior, you've got a coated nylon. I must mention here that the soft walls are a breathable membrane. The entire thing is a package. So on the exterior, you've got the coated nylon, and then going in, you've got another membrane there, and all that one there is to reduce the amount of needle punches to the exterior. Because every time you have a needle punch, that is a potential spot for rain, or moisture to get through rather. So that's what it's for. Next layer is an insulative fill, and all that is there for is to keep the soft wall, give it as much space or volume as possible, right? So keep it puffy, right? Because that's where a lot of your R value is coming from. And then your interior is a coated canvas, and it's also fire rated. But what's nice about it is if you get ketchup on there or whatever, it just wipes off. You can use sponge, a little bit of water and alcohol, not your tequila alcohol, but isopropyl, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, it does come clean. I've even heard people getting red wine out of it too. So that works just fine. But you've got your windows as well. The window coverings are insulated as well, just like the soft walls themselves. You've got acrylic windows, everything's Velcro. So you can position your blinds in different spots. You can position your window openings in different locations using the Velcro. On these pop-ups, the passenger side window on the bed area will become your emergency escape. If you're onto a hard side, because you can get these on a hard side as well, we've actually got a correct egress hatch for it. It's a marine hatch. But you can check that out on our website as well. Last thing I'll talk about up front here is the bed over the cab. In the testing that we've done, this one here is a pop-up, as you can see. So it's got a 5-foot bed, a 60-inch bed that comes out over the cab. When you walk around and you're looking at other campers, whether they be composite, whether they be aluminum frame, whatever they are, and you see a gusset coming up the vertical wall to under the horizontal of the bed, that tells me 2 things. It tells me, A, they tested it and they need that gusset there for strength, because if you got a bunch of weight out at the very front, it's not going to support it and you're going to have failure right there. Basically, that becomes your fulcrum. Or the other thing it tells me is they put it on there as a cautionary measure because they haven't tested it. So we have tested it. So what we've done in our test to failure is we've actually applied a force right at the very front. And then what we do on the corner caps here, these inside corner caps, is we use a corner cap that just comes up and covers the 3-inch exoskeleton. It doesn't go up and tie into that top of wall extrusion. It doesn't do that at all because that's adding some more strength. So we want to just make it as weak as possible. And when we put everything together, we don't sand it, we just throw it together, right? Don't clean it, don't do anything, just glue it, let it cure, and then we do our test. In the test, we place force, hydraulic force on the front of the bed, downward force. And what also we're looking is see how much force it takes before we start seeing deflection at this fulcrum right here at this where the vertical wall meets the horizontal bottom of the bed. It's under 1,300 pounds when you start to see some deflection there. So that's worst case scenario. And that test was done with our Gen 2 foam. We're now with this PET foam, it's much stronger. We're going to keep saying we're going to redo the test. We just haven't had the opportunity yet, but we are going to redo the test hopefully this winter, and we'll share the results. But I would expect with the new foam that we're doing that we're going to see deflection start happening around 15 to 1,700 pounds of force, downward force, which is absolutely amazing. What does that translate into? Well, if you got a couple people up here and say you're each 300 pounds, you have nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about this failing here at all. And then we take it a step further. As I said, this inside corner cap, we tie it into that top of wall extrusion. So we're always using geometry to try and tie everything together, make things stronger. Coming up to the front, you can do a light bar at the front if you want to. All the wiring is ran externally. Unless you're doing an integrated, then the wiring is actually ran through the cabin. But that's it for the exterior. We're gonna hop over to the interior and have a look. Inside the High Country pop-up, your eyes visually are gonna, first thing you're gonna look at this and you're gonna go, whoa, what is that? That is your upper cabin. This comes standard with it. A lot of folks ask questions about, you know, the price differential between a Hudson Bay and a High Country. And probably the easiest way I can explain it is it's not just the length, the added dinette that you've got in the High Country over the Hudson Bay, because it's 1.5 feet longer on the floor plan. But everything that would be optional on a Hudson Bay is for the most part standard on a High Country, which would include this as well. So what you see here, we have to bring it out from the soft wall, and we have to bring it out quite a ways because we need the soft wall to fold in. So that's why this is sticking out so far. Some people like that or don't mind it, some people don't, but hey, what are you gonna do? You gotta have the storage. What we're also doing coming up here, right now, we've been playing around with some options. Our own designed paper towel dispenser. It's got a rod on the top, a weighted rod, so will not unroll if you're on the trail or whatever. You're not gonna open the door and find all your paper towel on the floor. So it works really well. And then on this side, we developed a rack that comes, we call it the electronics charge rack. So you got a power source up top here in the top right corner of this, and then you've got a rack that comes out. It's 9 by 9 inches, I believe it is, 9 by 9. It'll also hold a CPAP machine, so that's pretty cool. Other options that we're developing or have developed, and a lot of these come as a result of customer feedback, so keep that coming. We really appreciate that because you guys are out there field testing. We got guys that are living in these things. So we got this cooktop cover. So underneath here, you can have either a dual burner induction cooktop, or in this case, this one's got a single burner induction, single burner propane. Because this is a pop-up, you cannot have the large J-handle faucet that you would see in a High Country hard side. What you've got here is something a little bit different. We try to go as tall as we possibly can, but it still is a folding unit. Not that we have to worry about that because the roof only comes down so far, but it won't work with the fixed J handle. Then of course you've got the nice deep basin in here that you've come to know with the High Country. So that's about it for that. We've got another option here. We call it the spice rack. You can put obviously whatever you want in here, not just cooking stuff. But you're also going to find is we've been playing around. You're not going to see it here, but we've been playing around with some sea suckers, Aspen Frontiers, bag mounts, Patagonia style 40-liter bag mount. I've got one in our show unit, our Hudson Bay, so we'll shoot that. We'll clip that into this video somewhere. Because this is the pop-up version of the High Country, you cannot do the north-south queen bed that you can do in the hard side High Country. And that's mainly because there's no wall here, right? There's no rigid physical wall here. So to support that length going outside of the camper, you just can't do it with a pop-up. And we refuse to put a gusset on that front vertical wall to the underside of the bed. So that's the way it is with the pop-ups. You only get the east-west sleeping. Our mattress is a hybrid foam mattress. It's low density and medium density. So it's 2/3 low density, 1/3 medium density. So if you're a side sleeper, like I am, your shoulder, your elbow are going to sink into the mattress and you'll be comfortable. Because it is an actuated roof, you've got these windows. Well, you always got the side windows, but draw your attention to the front and the rear windows. I mean, they're huge. They're absolutely huge. So you get a good viewing, as the sun's going around, if the sun's on one side, you close the blinds, they Velcro down, pull the Velcro straps, down they come. So you can keep the heat out, open the shade side, and you can open those windows up and get some ventilation going. This one's got the rooftop AC in it, and of course it's got a 10-speed max air. So if you didn't have the AC, we're playing around, as I mentioned in this video, that we're playing around with the exterior wall one that'll actually go in, and that'll be pretty sweet as well. But you still got the rooftop AC option in the High Country as well. But in its place, you can put another 10-speed fan. So all High Countries come with a wet bath. This one is no different. So with this one, you've got this beautiful wet bath. These soft walls, or the soft wall enclosure, will actually fold into itself as the roof is coming down. Also, we've got a window in the wet bath as well. So again, it opens. You can have it open during the day or even while you're showering. If you're in a nice area, secluded, you can have the window wide open. So you also got a 6-inch max air fan that goes through the wall. With the shower curtain, you're not going to be able to use that max air fan because it's just going to draw it right into it. But if you're in there doing some business, that's what the max air fan's really there for. If you're doing a shower, well, just leave this thing unzipper to the top, like so. Have it kicking out, because remember, you got an inside shower curtain as well. So you can just have this open and you can turn on one of your fans, and away you go. But keep in mind, you're not in there taking, super long showers anyways. Even though with every unit that we sell, we include the Geyser system, right? So the Geyser, jump onto their website, Geyser shower systems. We include the adapter that replaces your shower head. So 0.8 gallons, 50-minute hot shower, continuous water flow. You can't beat it. That's fantastic savings in water. Okay, so let's talk about some other things. Let's talk quickly about the Galley. We've already touched our base on a few things, but you're going to notice a lot of similarities between the Hudson Bay Galley and, of course, this one. You got your switches for all your lights, and that's going to be inside, both for your bathroom, your water pump. You got an auxiliary here that can be used for, say you got LED lighting or something like that on your awning, or you can actually, these auxiliary switches can also be used for a Starlink. So you can power it up, power it down. Don't leave your Starlink on, because it'll draw your batteries down rapidly. Rapido. So your fuse block and everything is behind here. There's a couple thumb screws hinged at the bottom. You can drop that down. Here's your Truma controller as well. But your fuse box is in there. Always carry a few extra fuses, because you never know. Fridge, Isotherm, drawer style. Beautiful. It's making me hungry. I see some food in there. But nonetheless, it is pretty damn spacious. It's got the pull-out freezer here as well. Then it's got another tray down below in the refrigerator section. It's pretty damn impressive what you can fit in here. And for these shows, we fit a lot of beer in these things. So take it from us, it can fit a lot of liquid and a lot of food. So 130 liter, that is something new that we've offered this year. Now we put Isotherm in every unit that we sell. So 130s for the Hudson Bays and the High Countries, 130 liters, drawer style. In our back countries, we got a door style, swing open door, compressor style 65 liter Isotherm fridge. And then in our Summit, you've got more rooms, a 13-foot floor plan. So you've got the 160 liter drawer style. So fridge drawer on the top, freezer drawer on the bottom, 160 liters. It's a ton of space, so much space. So that's about it for that. Then you've got some storage here underneath the sink. That goes back bar around the sink as well. And then you've got full pull drawers. You can pull these right out to the end of the slides themselves. Another one. And then down the bottom as well, that actually lifts out. That's where your water pump and things like that are sitting right behind that. Then we go back to the dinette. So I'll just talk about this really briefly. Hudson Bay has east-west. So you can fit in a Hudson Bay wet bath unit, you can seat 3 people comfortably. 1 on the passenger side, 2 on the driver's side. And then on the Hudson Bay dry bath unit, it's 2 and 2, east-west, 2 on each side. Once you get into these high countries, because you got that extra 1.5 feet, you're now on a 9.5 foot floor plan versus the 8 foot of the Hudson Bay. Now you've got that nice bench that goes right across the back wall. So it becomes very comfortable in inclement weather. If you've got 2, 3, 4 people, you're going to be very comfortable in here. Underneath the driver's side is where a lot of the business is. So your inverters, your batteries, your electrical disconnects, all that kind of stuff, you're going to find that over on the driver's side. Underneath the center section, you lift that cushion, there's going to be a lid, you're going to lift it up, you got storage underneath there as well that you can access from the interior. Same thing on the passenger side. Lift up the cushion, lift up the lid, and then you got more storage. This high country here underneath the dinette floor is where we house all the batteries. So that's where you don't have any additional storage there, so to speak, but that's where your batteries will be. You can also access, there's a door at the very front as well, so you can actually access your master switch cutoffs are right down there. So you can actually kill power to the whole camper. On the front passenger side of the dinette seat, lower dinette seat, you've got a whole bunch of buttons there. This is going to be for, this one's got electric jacks, so it's got the power system for that, and then of course got a remote with that as well. And then you got your, you can actually raise and lower your roof from right outside the camper because your switches are there for that. And then of course you got your outside lighting, scene lighting switches there as well. Drawing your attention right back to this one thing I forgot to mention at the Galley here. In the high country, you get the Cerbo GX, which is an option in the Hudson Bay. But the nice thing about this, with the Cerbo GX, we use all the functionality of it. So if, in this case, you got a gray tank and you've got a freshwater tank in the high country, so we can actually measure the volumes. You've always got a readout of how much water or gray water storage you got remaining. And then, of course, all your inputs, whether it be shore power, solar, your DC-DC charger, all that. You can see where your batteries are at, inflows, outflows. And I always encourage people, like get used to your outflows. Like run your fans at different speeds. If you got 1 fan, 2 fans, know what they're going to draw, right? Run your AC system. Run your induction cooktop. I mean, induction, you're not cooking on high all the time. So, if you're cooking on high, you're going to be like peak about 1800 watts on a single burner. Run these things, get used to them. I see he's got looks like an air fryer. Run the air fryer, see what kind of power it uses. Because in these campers, you can get over 600 amp hours of battery pretty darn easy. But it's important to know what you use, right? Like, do you use a blow dryer? All this stuff. Like it all adds up in your power. So it's good to be familiar with what you're using. That way you're going to know and feel comfortable with what kind of capacity you have, or if you got to add additional capacity. Because sometimes, more often than not, we build for people that want to get as far away from people as possible. So that's where it's nice to know your limitations. So coming back to talking about the power, we've already talked about the Cerbo GX. Victron. All of our campers, every one of them, comes with Victron power systems. So your solar controllers, DC-DC charger, your inverters, all of that. And further to that is if one of the modules was to crap out, solar controller die, one of your solar controller dies or something like that, you can isolate it on both sides. So you as an owner can safely remove the unit and not worry about giving yourself a little shock. So that's really nice about the system. But the Victron, as far as inverters go, we're locked in on the 3,000 watt pure sine multi-plus. We don't do the 2000s because now with induction and everything, a lot of people are doing dual burner. So for that reason, we're only going with 3,000 watt. But I will say, hey, you know, we're all about redundancies. So consider that when you're selecting your cooktop. This High Country comes standard with single burner induction, single burner propane. Single burner induction can be used inside, can be used outside. You can take it into your house, you can do whatever you want with it. Unplug it, take it outside. There's plug-ins, not on the exterior of the camper, but when you open up a cargo door, you got access to plug-ins. But the nice thing about it, and the reason why we chose this, is because the redundancy. It's nice to have the redundancy. If your inverter was to crap out, you're in the middle of nowhere, it's nice to have the propane to fall back on. Your propane goes out, now you got your induction that you can fall back on. So it really depends on the person how much cooking you do inside. It'd be part of your decision-making process, but something to consider rather than just going with the dual burner induction, because that really starts to limit you. But with this one, it's got a very tall, the knob actually, the on-off knob and the grill or the grate for the single burner propane, it's quite tall, and that's why we come up with this cover. So if you are not cooking, you've got a nice continuous countertop that you can use. Before we didn't have this cover, and it was kind of a waste of space actually. So it's really nice. And of course your cutting board sink cover here as well. You can also get the optional countertop that will mount to this wet bath as well. It's not in this one. We're sending one of these here to Scott. He wants one, but it flips up. It's the same height as the countertop here. So it's really, really nice. So when you are cooking inside, you've got an additional countertop space that you lost once you start cooking. That is pretty much it, except for the table. I should talk about the table because in the High Country, what you're going to have is you've got the Lagun table leg. So the tables swivel, you can move all over the place, and which is super, super nice with it. It also comes down to a bed platform. So your cushions, your back cushions on your dinette will fill in the center section, but ends up being a pretty darn big bed. And with these cushions, I should mention also, they come in 4 different color options. You got, this is dark gray. I know most people say, oh, that's black. Yeah, it's black, but it's called dark gray. You also got green, you've got blue, and you've also got red. 2 of our most popular ones this year, I would have to say, are the green and the dark gray, but everything changes year to year. Once you get in the Summit, you got choices. I mean, you want to do leather, do leather. You can do all sorts of things in the Summit. Summit's a different animal. We're not talking about that in this video, but it's worth checking out if you want something a little bit bigger and a little bit more more amenities, let's say. It certainly got that. So that is about it. If you've got any questions, let us know. Happy to know if you own one of these campers and you, like Scott, the owner of this one. Scott's fantastic. He's always coming up with these ideas, but fantastic. Keep it coming. This is how we improve on the products. We can't come up with all the ideas by ourselves, but with your help, we can continue to evolve the product. Okay, guys, that is a wrap. We've taken a look at the exterior. We've taken a look at the interior. If you've got any questions for us, any questions at all, jump onto our website. It is a great resource of information. It's a brand new website. Check it out. You can book a consult with us. You can reach out to any one of our dealers. I had mentioned the new website that we've got, www.overlandex.com. Check it out. Hope to talk to you soon.